Life's not fair.
Everyone thinks Scar was born evil. Wrong. The new Mufasa movie exposes the real villain behind Disney's greatest betrayal, Scar's own father. Before Scar was the murderous lion we all hate, he was Taka, a sweet cub with dreams of having a brother. When he spotted Mufasa about to become crocodile food, Taka didn't hesitate. He risked everything to save the orphaned cub and proudly brought him home. But instead of praise, his father Obazi freaked out. Why? Because the cub's name, Mufasa, literally meant king, and that threatened Obasi's fragile ego immediately. Just look at Obasi's reaction when Taka brought Mufasa home. His eyes narrowed, his claws dug into the ground. This wasn't just normal caution around a stranger. This was pure threat detection. A wild orphaned cub with a name that meant king arriving in his territory. To Obasi, this wasn't a child to protect. It was competition to eliminate. Obasi then did something unthinkable. He forced the cubs into a race with deadly stakes. If Mufasa won, he could stay. If Taka won, they'd kill Mufasa. What kind of father suggests murdering a child over a race? The kind who sees his own son's compassion as weakness that needs to be crushed. But here's where it gets interesting. Taka was winning until he realized what victory meant. In that moment, he made a choice that would haunt him forever. He slowed down. He whispered to Mufasa that he'd always wanted a brother and deliberately lost the race to save him. His reward for this act of compassion, his father's crushing disappointment. The look Obasi gave him wasn't just anger, it was disgust. In that single glance, Taka learned his first terrible lesson. Mercy has no place in leadership. What happened next sealed Taka's fate. While Mufasa was banished to live with the lionesses, this punishment became the greatest gift imaginable. Every day, Taka watched from the shade tree as Mufasa trained with the pride's huntresses, especially Taka's mother, Ase. She taught Mufasa everything: how to detect prey from miles away, how to read the wind for scents, how to coordinate attacks, and most importantly, how to lead with courage rather than fear. Meanwhile, Obasi didn't just fail Taka, he actively destroyed him. Taka's royal education consisted of watching his father lie around all day, barking orders, and doing absolutely nothing of value. This, Obasi would say, stretching lazily on his rock, is what kings do. We don't waste energy hunting like common lions. We command, others obey. Remember this, Taka. Real kings don't serve, they are served. Every time Taka tried to sneak away to join Mufasa and the lionesses, Obasi would catch him and drag him back. Why learn from them when they should be learning from you? He'd growl. A king doesn't need skills, he needs subjects. This wasn't just lazy parenting. This was deliberate sabotage of Taka's development. The most devastating part? Taka believed him. Why wouldn't he? This was his father, the king, his only male role model. While Mufasa grew stronger, faster, and wiser each day, Taka became more bitter, more entitled, and tragically, more like his father. Then came the moment that changed everything. When white lions from the feared outsiders attacked Mufasa and Ozzy during a hunting trip, Taka happened to be watching from a nearby hill. He saw the massive white lions emerge from the grass, teeth bared, muscles tensed for the kill. What did Taka do? Nothing. He froze in terror. He'd never learned to fight. He'd never developed courage. He'd never been taught anything useful. While Mufasa fought bravely and killed one of the attackers, saving Ace's life in the process, Taka ran away, his heart pounding with a toxic mix of fear and shame. When Mufasa and Ase returned to the Pride, everyone gathered around them, amazed by their survival. Obasi, seeing a political opportunity, publicly praised Mufasa, the very cub he'd once threatened to kill. "This is bravery," he announced to the Pride, while Taka slunk further into the shadows, invisible and inadequate. The shame was unbearable. Later, when Taka approached his father, raw with guilt and desperate for guidance, Obasi delivered the words that would corrupt his son forever. Never admit weakness. The pride must never know you ran. Deceit is the tool of a great king. Let that sink in. Instead of teaching his son courage, Obasi taught him to lie better. Instead of showing him how to grow from failure, he taught him to hide it. This twisted lesson would become the foundation of Taka's entire worldview. Soon after, drought forced them to leave their territory. With Kiros and his outsiders moving closer, Obasi sent Mufasa and Taka away to find a new home where Taka could become king. Notice how Obasi didn't lead this dangerous mission himself? Another example of his cowardice disguised as delegation. On their journey, Taka and Mufasa met a young mandrill named Rafiki and a hornbill called Zazu, who would later become crucial figures in the Pride Lands. But the most important encounter was with Sarabi, a lioness so beautiful she took Taka's breath away. Her strength, grace, and intelligence captivated him instantly. For once, Taka wanted something for himself, not because his father said he deserved it. But Sarabi saw right through him. Her eyes kept finding Mufasa instead, drawn to his strength, courage, and wisdom. Everything Taka's father had prevented him from developing. Despite Mufasa initially stepping back out of respect for his brother's feelings, the connection between Mufasa and Sarabi was undeniable. They shared the same values, the same skills, the same vision for leadership. The rejection crushed Taka. Each time Sarabi looked at Mufasa with admiration, each time they hunted together perfectly in sync, each time they shared quiet conversations under the stars, it was another dagger in Taka's heart. In his pain, his father's twisted lessons came flooding back. If you can't win fairly, cheat. In his darkest moment, Taka slipped away from camp and sought out their enemies. He struck a secret deal with Kiros, the massive white lion leader of the outsiders who wanted revenge for the son Mufasa had killed during the attack. Taka would lead them straight to Mufasa in exchange for his own safety when they reached their destination, a lush paradise called Mele that Mufasa's birth mother had told him about. The ultimate betrayal was set in motion. When they finally reached Mele, it was everything they'd hoped for. Abundant water, plentiful prey, perfect territory for a new kingdom. But Taka had marked their trail, and the outsiders weren't far behind. When they attacked, Mufasa rallied the animals of Mele to fight back. For a while, they were winning until Kiros cornered Mufasa against the cliff edge. But when the moment came and Kiros was about to deliver the killing blow, something incredible happened. Taka remembered his mother's words that his moment of courage would come. In a split second of clarity, he saw what he was about to lose. Not just a potential king, but the brother he'd always wanted. He leaped between them, saving Mufasa, but receiving the slash across his eye that would mark him forever. Though Mufasa became king of Mele with Sarabi as his queen, the damage was done. From that day forward, Mufasa refused to call him Taka, naming him Scar instead. A constant reminder of his betrayal. This final humiliation pushed him further into darkness. Allowed to stay but never truly forgiven, Scar festered with resentment as he watched Mufasa create what would become the Pride Lands. Years later, when Mufasa had a son, something snapped inside Scar. Simba wasn't just a cub. He was living proof that Scar would never be king. The jealousy, the resentment, the lifetime of feeling inadequate finally exploded into the murder we all know. As he whispered, "Long live the king," and pushed Mufasa into the gorge, he wasn't just killing his brother, he was destroying everything his brother represented that he could never be. But here's the mind-blowing part. When Scar finally became king, guess how he ruled? Exactly like his father, lying around all day on the same rock, refusing to hunt, expecting others to serve him, leading the Pride Lands into ruin through drought and famine. He even made the same tactical error as Obasi, failing to confirm that Simba was actually dead, just as his father had failed to verify threats until it was too late. And Obasi, his failures went beyond laziness. When warned about the outsiders being only a day away, his response revealed everything. The outsiders? The stories were all true, so the rumors are true. He'd heard about this threat for years, but ignored it, gambling with everyone's lives because he couldn't be bothered to prepare. His negligence nearly got his entire pride killed, just as Scar's negligence would devastate the Pride Lands years later. The parallels are unmistakable. Despite hating his father, despite resenting everything about Obasi, Scar unconsciously replicated his leadership style perfectly. Why? Because it was the only model of kingship he'd ever known. This wasn't just bad luck or coincidence. It was psychological inheritance. The truth is devastating. Every villain has an origin story, but but Scar's is particularly tragic because we can see exactly where it all went wrong. The cub who risked his life to save Mufasa from crocodiles, who sacrificed winning the race to gain a brother, who finally found courage to save Mufasa from Kiros. That lion had the potential for greatness. What if Obasi had praised Taka's rescue of Mufasa instead of seeing it as a threat? What if he'd allowed Taka to train with the lionesses alongside Mufasa? What if, when Taka ran from the outsider's attack, his father had shown him how to develop courage rather than how to hide cowardice? We'll never know, because at every critical moment in Taka's development, Obasi made exactly the wrong choice. He taught him that kings rule through lies, that power matters more than family, and that manipulation beats courage. He didn't just fail to nurture Taka's natural compassion, he actively punished it. And that's how a sweet cub who saved an orphan became the monster who would bring the Pride Lands to its knees. So next time you watch Scar push Mufasa into that gorge, remember, he's not just killing his brother, he's fulfilling the destiny his father created for him, enacting the final lesson Obasi taught him, that when you can't compete with greatness, you destroy it. The cycle of toxic leadership would have continued indefinitely if not for one crucial difference between Mufasa and Obasi: how they raised their sons. While Obasi poisoned Taka's potential, Mufasa gave Simba the wisdom, courage, and compassion to become a true king, even if their time together was cut tragically short. What do you think? Could Scar have been different if Obasi had been a better father? Or was he doomed from the start? Was Mufasa naturally gifted, or did Ace's guidance make all the difference? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to hit that notification bell for more shocking Disney revelations.